Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Storybook Corner. Tonight, I want to share a tale that asks a very curious question. What does it truly mean to be a real princess? So, get comfortable, and let's journey together into the classic story of The Princess and the Pea. Once upon a time, in a grand kingdom far, far away, there lived a handsome prince. This prince had everything his heart could desire: a magnificent castle, loyal subjects, and loving parents, the king and queen. But there was one thing he longed for more than anything else: a wife. Not just any wife, though. He was determined to marry a real princess. This wasn't as easy as it sounds. The prince traveled all over the world in search of his perfect match. He met countless princesses, each one more dazzling than the last. There were princesses with hair like spun gold and eyes as blue as the summer sky. There were princesses who were witty and clever, and others who were kind and gentle. But with every single one, the prince felt a nagging doubt. Is she truly a real princess? He would wonder. Something always seemed a little off, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. Disheartened and weary, he returned to his castle, convinced he would never find the genuine article. His parents, the king and queen, were very sad to see their son so unhappy. One evening, a terrible storm raged outside the castle walls. The wind howled like a hungry wolf. The rain lashed against the windows, and thunder boomed so loudly it shook the very foundations of the castle. It was a dreadful night, not fit for anyone to be outdoors. Suddenly, amidst the chaos of the storm, someone knocked at the castle gate. The old king himself went down to see who could possibly be out on such a night. Standing there was a young woman, looking like a complete and utter mess. Water streamed from her hair and clothes, running in rivers from the tips of her shoes. She was shivering and looked exhausted, but she held her head high and said, "I am a real princess." The old queen looked at the drenched girl and thought to herself, we'll soon find out if that's true. She didn't say anything, but a clever idea was already forming in her mind. While the girl was given dry clothes and a warm meal, the queen went to prepare a guest bedroom. But this was no ordinary guest bedroom. The queen went to the bed and took off all the bedding. Then she laid a single, tiny, hard pea right on the wooden bed frame. After that, she instructed the servants to fetch mattresses. Not one, not two, but 20 thick mattresses were piled on top of the pea. And as if that weren't enough, she had them place 20 of the softest, fluffiest eiderdown quilts on top of the 20 mattresses. This towering mountain of a bed was where the mysterious princess was to spend the night. The next morning, the queen greeted the young woman with a friendly smile. "Good morning, my dear," she said sweetly. "And how did you sleep?" The princess looked absolutely exhausted. There were dark circles under her eyes, and she stifled a yawn. "Oh, dreadfully," she replied. "I barely closed my eyes all night. Heaven knows what was in that bed. I felt like I was lying on something incredibly hard, and I am black and blue all over. It was simply awful." When the queen heard this, her face lit up with a brilliant smile. She, the king, and the prince knew at once that this was, without a doubt, a real princess. Only a princess with skin so delicate and senses so refined could possibly feel a tiny pea through 20 mattresses and 20 eiderdown quilts. Her royal sensitivity was proof of her noble birth. The prince was overjoyed. He had finally found his true princess. He had looked all over the world, and she had shown up right on his doorstep in the middle of a storm. He fell in love with her instantly, not just for her beauty, but for her undeniable, pea-proven princessness. So the prince and the princess were married, and they lived happily ever after. And what became of the pea, you ask? Well, it was placed in a royal museum, displayed on a velvet cushion inside a glass case, so that everyone could come and see the very pea that had proven a princess's true identity. And unless someone has taken it, it might still be there to this very day. And that's the story of The Princess and the Pea. It's a funny little tale, isn't it? It reminds us that sometimes the truest qualities aren't the ones we see on the surface, but the incredibly sensitive and subtle things that make us who we are. Thank you so much for listening and sharing this story with me today. I hope it brought a little bit of magic to your day. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more classic tales and wonderful adventures. We have so many more stories to share. Until next time, take care and keep the magic alive.